us all to recognize Grzegorz Czerniak for being the founding director here in BNI Poland. And Grzegorz, come forward, please. Thank you so much. Look around the room. When you started BNI Poland, did you think that we would just a few years later have this many people here?
Thank you very much. It's your role, it's your idea and your vision. And I only felt this vision, and I invited my friends. On 13th of December 2005, I was in London.
Yes.
And in January, I invited 1,500 people to the meeting. And more or less 150 came. And within the next month, it was the first chapter. So 27th of April, we got the first chapter. And I'm very proud that Richard and Nacho are developing this country so great.
Well, Grzegorz, let's all give you a great big round of applause. This is for you, my friend. Thank you so much for what you've done. We appreciate you. Thank you. May I give this to someone? Thanks very much.
Cảm ơn mọi người.
Okay, so I have an opportunity to talk a little bit about our theme today, about dreaming big. I call this presentation, Set Your Vision, Create Your Reality. Before I jump into that, I have a couple of things that I want to share with everyone. The first is one of the books that I released with my wife this year, Healing Can Be Easy. And this is a book that is based on Elizabeth's cancer journey, and I co-wrote this with her with two other doctors. And it's a great book on how one can heal oneself. It is particularly focused on your mindset, and mindfulness, and holistic health. So if you have an opportunity, take a look at that book. We happen to put it on Kindle at only $2, $2.99 I think it's on Kindle, so you can download it on Kindle. We donate 100% of our profits to holistic medical research. So take a look at that there. I also have a new book. We tried to get this book here at the convention, but it is lost somewhere in transit between Germany and Poland. And I'm so sorry. If we can, we will hope to get it here tomorrow. But this book is called The Networking Mentor. How many of you have a mentoring program in your chapter, or you want to do a mentoring program in your chapter? Then you need this book. It's a fantastic little book. It is a parable. It's the only book I've done that's a parable. It's a story about a young man who was struggling in business, and someone invited him to BNI. And someone took him under his wings and taught him how to build his business through referrals. And he completely turned around his business, and he did so well that at the end of the book, he takes someone under his wings and does the same for them. And so that's why the book's subtitle is Who's in Your Story? And the reason for that is we all have people in our story. I'm going to share at least one person with you today who's in my story. And I think that's important. But the bigger question is, whose story are we in? Whose life are we making a difference in? And how are we helping to change their lives? And with a philosophy like Giver's Gain, this is the perfect approach to mentoring. So if you have a chance, take a look at this. If we don't get the actual books in here, it is also available on Kindle, and we made sure it was available at just $2.99 as well. You can download it on Kindle. Okay. One more thing before I jump into my primary presentation, and that is I want to talk a little bit about the BNI Foundation. The BNI Foundation. A foundation endowment is incredibly important. A foundation endowment is something that is principal. It's principal money that cannot be spent. Only the interest can be spent from an endowment. Endowments are magical. Look at the numbers here. If an endowment only started with $50,000, within 25 years, it would be able to give away almost $84,000 and still have $100,000 as principal. That's a total of $184,000 with a $50,000 contribution. At 50 years, a $50,000 contribution would have $196,000, almost $197,000, and would be able to give away more than $250,000 US worth of business. That is almost $500,000, $447,000 off of a $50,000 contribution. Elizabeth and I realized that the BNI Foundation, which does amazing work for children and education, while we were here in Warsaw, we did a project at a library. We painted several rooms in the library. It may be true that the painting contractor afterwards had more work than he did before. I don't know. But we painted several rooms, and that's the kind of thing that the BNI Foundation does, and we're very excited about it. The thing is, the BNI Foundation does not have an endowment. And so Elizabeth and I decided to create an endowment within the BNI Foundation, and we mentioned this in the United States, but we'd like to officially announce it here at the International Convention in Warsaw that Elizabeth and I have contributed $100,000 for the seed money of an endowment for the BNI Foundation. We invite others to contribute to the endowment, and we have established what we call a Misner Fellow. A Misner Fellow is someone who has supported the endowment as part of the BNI Foundation. We have 3 levels of fellow in the Misner endowment. A fellow is $2,500 US, a senior fellow $5,000, a diamond fellow $10,000 US. It can be accumulated over time. It doesn't have to be in one payment. I am so incredibly proud to announce that the foundation, when we announced this in the United States, the foundation now has another $124,000 added to the $100,000 donation that Elizabeth and I gave. So we now have $224,000 in the endowment. Our goal is over time to get over $1 million in the foundation endowment. And I invite you to become a Misner Fellow. We'll have some special lapel pins and a certificate. And just know that the bottom line is that we make a difference in children's lives. Children represent 20% of the world, but they're 100% of our future. And so our focus in the foundation is children and in education. And this money will be well spent in supporting children and education. All right. So let's talk about the theme. I want to talk about dreaming big. I love this theme. This was a fantastic theme that Global Support came up with. You know, our endowment is dreaming big, but BNI is about dreaming big. And I have a bit of a history in trying to dream big. And let me share a story. I told you I'm going to share a story about someone who's in my story. A number of years ago, actually a lot of years ago, I was 17 years old. I was 17 years old. I was on the U.S. football team, the American football, a high school team. And I had a football coach who gave me an audio cassette tape. Now, just between us, okay, you can't tell anybody, but it was a bootleg tape. He copied the tape. And he made a tape for all the players, and he gave it to us. And the tape was on this book, Psycho-Cybernetics. And Psycho-Cybernetics talks about the servo mechanism of the mind. It talks about having personal beliefs, and those personal beliefs that you put into your head result in the behaviors that you show in the world. It talked about the power of positive thinking. It talked about the things that you visualize you can achieve. I was 17 years old. It was the first self-help book I ever heard. I listened to that tape so much, I broke it. That's the actual book I went out to buy. I still have it in my library after all these decades. That was the book I went out to buy. I loved this material. It was really funny because I talked to my fellow football players, and I said to them, have you listened to this tape? This is incredible. They were like, dude, really? You listened to that? It was so boring. It was incredibly boring. Yeah, I listened to it. Because I believe that I believe in lifelong learning. I believe in personal development. I believe in self-development. I believe in dreaming big. And I think that much of that comes from having read that book and listened to that tape when I was only 17 years old. I believe that big dreams can create a big reality. Big dreams can create and become a reality. Setting a vision helps to create a reality. Setting a vision helps to create a reality. So, I'd like to share a really personal story. Is that okay with you? Yeah? So, I said to them, nobody's going to want to hear this story. It's not business, it's personal. And she said, no, you got to share that story. People love the personal story. So, you're all right. All right. Personal, absolutely personal. Nothing to do with business. But I think you might find that this personal story can apply in business. So we moved to Austin, Texas a few years ago. We bought a wonderful house. And next to that house was this open field. 5 acres. We're on 5 acres. This huge field is on 5 acres. We loved that open field because there were so many animals. There were deer and wild turkey and some other critters that I'll talk about in a minute. But it was beautiful and natural. And we loved it. The only problem was someone else owned it. And they planned on building a home there. And Elizabeth we'd have company over. And she really wanted this, and so she would be talking about this land. And she started calling it our land. And I kept saying to her, honey, we don't actually own that. You know that, right? She said, no, but we will. But they're going to build a house on it. No, we'll own it. I'm like, okay. So, nothing really happened after a few months. And she actually, this is a copy of the actual check that she wrote for the land and put it on her bulletin board. She taped it up on her bulletin board in an area of the kitchen where most people don't see. And she said, I'm going to visualize buying that property. I said, okay. Go girl, that's good. Not long after, the couple started clearing the land to build their home. I said, honey, they're clearing the land. She said, they're clearing the land for me. Okay. Then they started pulling out some old trees. I said, honey, they're starting to build. They're tearing out trees. They're taking out the trees for me. Then they took out a foundation. Now, there was an old foundation from one of the first homes in that area, on that property. And they tore out the foundation to lay a new foundation for their new home. And I said, we might need to rethink this because they're tearing out the foundation. And she said, yeah, they're tearing it out for me. I'm like, okay. Well, I'm a real believer in the law of attraction. I'm a real believer in the law of attraction. That's what dreaming big is about. That's what psycho-cybernetics was about. It was about dreaming big, putting into your head what you want to achieve in your life. But one of the things I've learned over the years is that part of the word attraction is action. You have to take action if you want to attract things into your life.
Yeah, we have to actually.
And so we figured we better start taking some action. Because worst case scenario, this was a very nice couple. We really liked them. And so if in fact they built, we wanted to become friends with them. And if they didn't, we wanted to make sure to become friends with them. Because we would like to get it. So we invited them over to our home and we wined and dined them. We took them down to our cellar. You know, we liquored them up a little bit. We had fun. They were a wonderful couple. We really liked them. And every time we brought up the subject of the property, they said, no, we still plan on building. And it'll be wonderful being here. You know, we really enjoyed you. So I figured at this point, drastic action had to be taken. So I very subtly started taking photographs of things on the property. We found this in my house one day. This is a scorpion.
Yeah.
I took a photograph of it. I sent it to him and I said, hey, just so you know, when you build a house, scorpions do get in, so don't walk around barefoot. They're like, okay, thanks, let us know. I was in the backyard one day and I got a picture. You can't see this real well, but that's a solitary red velvet ant. They're about that big. Their nickname is the cow killer ant. Because their sting is incredibly painful. And I said, oh hey, just so you know, when you're out in the yard, just be careful because they have these cow killer ants out there. They can sting you and they're very painful. They're like, okay, thank you very much. Nothing was happening. So one day I was out in my backyard and I saw this. This is a coral snake, highly venomous. I took a picture of it and said, hey, look what I saw, headed over to your property. Then I took a picture of this. These are photos I took on our land next to theirs. I said, this is a copperhead, really venomous. If you see one of them, make sure not to go near them. Okay, thank you. And then I took a picture of this. This is a rattlesnake. I said lots of rattlesnakes on the property. I see them a whole lot. Now I'm going to show you a couple of photographs. But you got to do me a favor here, okay? I do not want you to tell Graham Weimiller about these photographs, all right? This is just between us, right? Oh wait, he's right there. Uh-oh. Okay, so don't look, Graham, don't look. So I started seeing these snakes. I thought it'd be really cool to catch them. And so these are some photographs of me catching some of these snakes. That's actually the copperhead that I found on my lawn. And I'd, put them up on Facebook, show it to them. Hey, look, I'm catching some of the snakes that are on the property. I didn't tell them, I'm putting them over on your property. And then I did this, and hopefully this will work. I've got a video. This is only 1 minute long. Let's see if we can play it.
What you got in there?
I have me a little rattlesnake. And
There he goes.
there he is. Blends in perfectly.
He's all coiled up.
See him?
He's cold.
And there's the rattlers. And there he goes. He's going the other way.
He's long.
That's at least oh, there. Oh,
Yeah, that's a good picture of him. He's free, little guy.
that's
Not on our property.
at least.
You know what that is? Right now?
Lucky.
That's a happy rattlesnake.
I almost stepped on him last night. If I didn't have a flashlight, I would have so stepped on
I'm
him.
so glad you didn't step on him.
And there he goes up the hill. So I posted that on Facebook, sent them the link, that sealed the deal. Just a month or so later, they called us up and said, you guys guys still interested in that property that you got there? We found some other property that we think we would like to move to. And they came on over to our house. We opened up the wine cellar again. I may have liquored them up just a little bit more. And we wrote a deal on a napkin and signed it. And we own that property today. Elizabeth's vision of that property, that's my property. They're doing that for me. It's incredibly powerful. Of course, the action helped a little bit too, I'm sure. The combination was really a 1-2 punch. Today, this is the law of attraction. You got to take action to make the law of attraction work. Just saying that's my property might not have been enough. Doing things to help make that happen works, and that certainly applies in business. You can attract things, but unless you take action, it doesn't count. This is actually the design for what she's going to put there. It's a labyrinth and what's called a Bagua circle for Tai Chi and Qigong. And we're going to set that up in the space that she created. The thing is, that was in her mind 9 months before we bought it. She wrote that check 9 months before we signed the napkin. And that was what she was visualizing in her mind as we were having these discussions. Attraction is incredibly powerful. It really is. And that begins with dreaming big. And that's what this convention is about. It's about dreaming big. I think there are 3 steps for success. The first step is to dream big. You gotta dream big. The second step is to have a plan. And the third step is to take action. Dream big, have a plan, take action. I call it the wash, rinse, and repeat cycle for success. This is what you have to do. Whatever you do, don't overcomplicate things. Entrepreneurs are so known for overcomplicating things. BNI is really, at its heart, pretty simple. It's about opening chapters. It's about filling chapters. It's about retaining members. It's about doing all of that by telling incredible stories. It's not that difficult. Don't reinvent the wheel. We have all of these chapters because people followed a plan. There was a big dream. We followed a plan. There's a lot of action. That's how you create success in BNI. That's how you create success in business. That's how you create success in life. In 1986, the middle of 1986, we had 30 chapters. He and I had been around a year and a half. I was 29 years old in 1986. We had 30 chapters. And I remember sitting down and thinking, I wonder how many chapters BNI can actually have someday. And I did some calculations and I did a little research, and it hit me. I believe BNI can have 10,000 chapters someday. I told my friends, we had 30 chapters. I believe we could have 10,000 chapters someday. And I actually had one guy say to me, really, you're dreaming? I said, yeah, I am. I'm dreaming big. I'm dreaming big. I am so pleased to say that as of this week, we have almost 9,300 chapters. I'm even more pleased to say that based on the research I did, I thought we could hit 10,000 chapters in 50 to 60 years. That was my calculation. We're going to do it in 36, maybe 37 years. Almost half of the time that I thought. I think B&I can have, today, I think we can have more than 25,000 chapters worldwide. Yeah, that's worth an applause. I think we could be helping millions of members all over the world. Dreaming big is really this simple. It starts with the dream. You have a plan. We have a plan. In B&I, you got a plan. You got a system. One thing about the organization is very replicable. You know what you're supposed to be doing every week. And then you've got to take action. You have got to take action. I tell people all over the world, you want to be successful in business, do 6 things 1,000 times, not 1,000 things 6 times. All too often, business professionals keep chasing bright, shiny objects. I know that's the way that you're supposed to do it, but I want to do this and I want to do that. And that's how you end up chasing bright, shiny objects. You want to be successful in business and in life, do 6 things 1,000 times, not 1,000 things 6 times. If you do that, if you dream big, have a plan, and take action, I promise you, you will generate more referrals than you ever thought possible. The process is truly that simple. I believe that in life, we have 2 paths that we can take. There's 2 paths. There's the easy, hard path, or there's the hard, easy path. Let me describe it to you. I believe that the easy, hard path means that you go about doing things with the least amount of effort. You want to do it easy. You know, why do all of that? Why, do we really have to meet every week? Should I really prepare my presentation in advance? One-to-ones, do I really have to? I don't have to do one-to-ones. That's the easy path. I've been around long enough to know that if you take the easy path, life becomes harder. It's easy hard. I've been around long enough to know that if you take the hard path, life becomes easier. Taking the hard path in life takes a lot of work. Taking the hard path in B&I takes some work. You have to be at those meetings every week. You have to prepare those weekly presentations. You have to do one-to-ones. You have to contribute and support your fellow members. You should mentor your members. That's some of the hard work. I'm here to tell you that if you do the hard work, life becomes easier. Your chapter becomes easier. Success is easier if you take the hard path. For me, the hard path involves starting with a big dream, having a comprehensive plan, and most important of all, taking aggressive action to achieve that big dream. I believe in dreams. I believe in B&I. I believe in you. Dream big, everyone in B&I, and welcome to the 2019 International Convention.